me to get out of the room. Oh, look at the time, he would say with no watch on his thing. So for those of us joining the recording, it's Wednesday night, June 8th. And we're excited. My name is Paul. I'll be your host tonight. And we were just talking about how fast the time flies. And when Reverend Jeff wanted me out of the office, he would say, "Oh, Paul, look at the time. I got to go." And he had no watch on his hand. So that's my cue to get the show on the road. So welcome, everyone. And we welcome you. I always say hello, church family, at the beginning of Wednesday night evening. It reminds me of Richard Robinson. He always said that when he did meditation on Sundays, and it just warmed my heart to know that I had a place to go where I could be with my spiritual church family, and that's here at the Oakland Center. So we welcome you tonight. So what is the Wednesday night service? And you'll often hear us call it the Wednesday night midweek Oasis service. And why do we call it that? Well, it's because it's a place where we can be together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. So we present our Wednesday night services in our version of satsang style, where we have a speaker come in and give us some words of wisdom for about 20 minutes or so. And then we open it up for discussion so that we can be with one another and ask questions or make comments. And the goal is that these gatherings be informal, intimate, and rich. So that's our intention for you tonight. Also, we're continuing to recognize Pride Month in this month of June. And this is a time to celebrate the diversity in our village, to expand our allyship with all LGBTQI people, and enjoy the Wednesday speakers representing the LGBTQI community. So in that spirit of recognition, I failed to publicly recognize, I failed to publicly recognize our wonderful speakers from the month of May. I usually do that on the first Wednesday of every month because I'm so grateful, gratitude, happy, and appreciate those that come forward to speak. So last month, our focus was on emotions, and that started with practitioner Regina Buckwalter. Then ministerial student and practitioner Lucian Baker was here. Then Reverend Dr. Eloise Oliver. And the final Wednesday was practitioner Judith Roberts. So I want to thank them all publicly and on this recording for the service that they bring to us when they speak. I'm also inclined to remind everybody what our annual theme is, which is Wonder, Wonder Everywhere. And the monthly theme is Living Everyday Wonder. And we're focusing on the body. How appropriate for, YMCA Pride Month. I think it's perfect. That's the most I've moved my body in 2 years. Okay, so there you go. You got it. I celebrate it. If you're here for the first time, we welcome you. You obviously found our homepage. We ask that you explore it and check everything out on the tabs at the top. We have lots of sections. And if you're interested, on the homepage, you can sign up to get our Village News newsletter. And that has all the information on what is happening at the center in the upcoming week. So it's in the lower left-hand corner. Submit your email address and you'll be getting that in your inbox promptly every week. Please stay tuned for the end of our program tonight. We have a special and important announcements to do. We'll be reading the new minister's covenant letter, a ritual that we would all like everyone to join in with me when we do that. And if you haven't done it already, we ask that during the service that you mute your camera and your microphone, and that will help improve the quality of the transmission. Tonight we have a wonderful speaker joining us. His name is Practitioner. Obviously, Dylan, I read too much. It's our beloved Dylan McClintock, who just happens to be a practitioner here at the center. Dylan has been a part of the OCSL community since 1999 and a practitioner since 2004. He has served on the OCSL Board of Trustees for one term and the Education Corps for many years, serving as a teacher's assistant or a TA at least once for every course offered. He created and led a 4-week workshop at Oakland Center on the use of chanting as a spiritual practice. He is currently an outreach practitioner with deep interest in spiritual practices around the world, leading to studying Buddhism in Bhutan, Tibet in Thailand, Hinduism in Nepal and in India. I almost said Indiana, but I'm sure that would apply as well, Dylan. And Eastern Orthodox Christianity in Romania. Boy, Dylan, you get around, boy. He participated in several month-long retreats at an ashram in India. So it's with great joy that I welcome home our very, very, very special friend, Dylan McClintock. Dylan, would you open us in prayer?
Yes, thank you, Paul. So if everyone will just close your eyes, get your feet on the ground, and take a deep breath. And another. And know with me that there is only one. There is just the one life, the one presence, the one divine intelligence that created everything, all that is seen and unseen, known and unknown, animate and apparently inanimate. It is all created by the one power and presence of spirit. I know that this is true for me. I am one of those creations. I am imbued with the essence of spirit in form. I am spirit in form. And I know that this is true for all of the beloveds who are joining us this evening. Each one is unique. Each one is whole, perfect, and complete, just exactly as they are. And I bless this time that we have together. It is rich and special and a time to step away from the busyness of life and step into a period of contemplation and connection with one another and with spirit. I bless the behind the scenes folks who make this possible at the center, Paul included, chiefly organizer, and everyone who's joining us this evening. We are together in for some fun and some rich experience with spirit. And so I release this, I let it go. I know that it is perfect, and so it is. Take another breath, or two or three. Open your eyes. And let's talk about loving the body. This is our topic for this evening. And it seems simple, doesn't it? Love the body. Well, of course, that's duh. And yet it is much easier said than done sometimes, particularly in our culture, which has a very high value on beauty of a particular sort that very few are really able to maintain or even achieve without great personal expense and sacrifice. Jennifer Lawrence, the actor, said, "What are you going to do? Be hungry every single day to make other people happy? That's just dumb." And it's true. But human minds like to categorize and compare, and we do it about almost every category of life, including how we look, how we work, how we play even. I mean, think about all the Instagrammers who are competing with each other to outdo their perfect shot on some island, yeah. I travel a fair bit and I see people all the time taking absolutely insane risks trying to get that perfect selfie, like this lighthouse. No, any rate, the I saw a quote by Taylor Swift, which really illustrated to me how pervasive this this tendency towards self-criticism and even self-hatred can be in terms of this desire for the perfect body. Because to me, she appears pretty flawless. But she says, I definitely have body issues, but everybody does. When you come to the realization that everybody does that, even the people I consider flawless, then you can start to live with the way you are. Here, live with the way you are. Loving your body and yourself includes your perceived shortcomings, and we all have them, even Taylor Swift, apparently. Louise Hay once said, you have been criticizing yourself for years, and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. Yeah. Now, as students, all of us of the science of mind philosophy, most of us are way past being in this state of body criticism. We understand that each of us is created perfect, whole, and complete by spirit, that we are unique expressions of spirit like snowflakes. No two of us are alike. And that there's no reason to do anything but celebrate this body that the spirit gave us. But we know that we were born into a human world with human conditions. This is not the spiritual universe where our spirit essence is absolutely perfect. This is the human world where we must deal with human conditions. And the human conditions can be short, tall, fat, skinny, whatever. We tend to focus on the body, the physical body, when we think of body, but there really are layers of body. There are, the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body. And the conditions that I spoke of are also brought to us by spirit. And they're vehicles, they're tools for our growth and unfoldment. So once we are able to accept that this is for my good, this is for my unfoldment, this is for my benefit, this is, even though it may be painful or it may be just uncomfortable or it may be challenging in this way or that, it's all for my good. It's for my growth. And it has nothing to do with anybody else, right? So the coming to that acceptance of what is crucial. That's the first step for anything. Any growth has to come from that step. If you have your feet on the ground, you know what is, and you know now where you're starting. But it's at first, we need to see that. We need to get there. And that sometimes takes some time. Serena Williams said, since I don't look like every other girl, it takes a while to be okay with that, to be different. But different is good, she said. And it's true that ultimately it's our differences that make us special. That's part of our unique character. And so to try to hide those differences, to try to mask them, to try to ignore them, is not doing anybody a favor. And that's not just about the body, of course. That's about many aspects of our being. But I truly do think that when I say the body, I mean the total body. The totality of my being is the body. So, and I just went, yeah. So, the key to acceptance, and why acceptance is the key, is that it opens our hearts and opens our minds to possibilities. Because if one is trying to ignore or to hide or to pretend something doesn't exist, then that door is closed. It's still there. And whatever's lurking behind the door is still there. And it's probably a lot bigger than it actually is if you open the door. But the accepting, opening the door and saying, okay, this is what's here. This is part of me. I can accept that this is what this is. I can accept that I can love my body, but not give up. Not like, oh, well, now I'm just not going to even pretend to bother with my weight. No, loving my body now means that I can cherish my body on every level. I can care for it. I can give it the fuel that is going to serve it best. I can listen. I can give it the exercise that's going to serve it best, so that I don't just love my body, but I cherish my body. And that is an enormous shift that comes with acceptance. So this body wisdom, this paying attention, is the understanding that everything I need to know about my body and that you need to know about your body is available within me, because it's part of God. There's nothing hidden, as long as I've come to this place of acceptance, and I can appreciate what I have. So this wisdom, the answers that I need are within me. The guidance. We often say in religious science, I am divinely guided and protected. And that's exactly true. If we have the ears to hear and the consciousness to hear what's true. I experienced personally this body wisdom from my body for the first time many, many years ago, when my partner and I broke bones in an accident. A few weeks into our recovery period, simultaneously, we said, oh my God, I want whole milk and I want chicken. We were vegetarians at the time. So that was like, what? But like, okay, that's body says that's what it wants. Body gets that's what it wants. That's what it gets. And we did that. And it was like a smoker taking the first drag in the morning, like, yeah. Our bodies so responded to that new input, the new fuel. And so we could feel our bodies responding. And then after a few weeks, without much discussion, we backed down to 2% milk, and then we went to skim milk, and then we were back on soy. And pretty soon the chicken was off the table too. We were back being vegetarians. Our bodies didn't need that anymore. And it let us know. It was an incredibly powerful experience to witness in that way, so personally, that phenomenon of letting my body guide me, letting spirit guide me. This was way before I was into religious science. So another thing that happens, so there's body wisdom, and then there's another phenomenon that happens with people around the body, which is a disconnect, where the physical body simply does not reflect the body that feels real to them inside. And one of my clients experienced this. Her body absolutely unilaterally did not reflect the body that she held to be true in her heart. It was not some idealized Taylor Swift body, for sure. It was just not what she saw in the mirror. She said it was like looking in a funhouse mirror. She was short and squat and chubby and flat-chested, not the taller, slimmer, more full-figured woman that she had in her sort of self-concept. She was not going to morph into that other body, no matter how hard she prayed. It just was not going to happen. Just like molecules don't quite work like that, the secret notwithstanding. So she had to find a way finally to accept what that physical reality is. And it truly was not, I mean, she did a lot of prayer, because that does work. It works to shift consciousness, and that was what she needed to do. She needed to find a way to accept the reality of her physical situation, and she did eventually. And you know, the in a situation like that, people who are not conscious would turn to surgery or something like that. And the reality is that until there's self-acceptance, and until there's a recognition of and acceptance of what is, the surgery is just a partial solution. Because the solution is based on a condition. It's based on that external fix without actually having done the work. And so it's never going to be right, because the issue is always going to be present. You know, because that upfront work didn't get done. The other group of people that have this similar experience of the disconnect are trans people who feel like they were born in the wrong body. And I can say from a personal perspective that it's really quite a weird experience and very difficult. Not so much today, happily, because of education, but when I was growing up and I was having disconnect, like, I'm a boy, no, you're a girl, no, I'm a boy, no, I'm a girl. It was very challenging because there weren't role models, there wasn't anything in the external world that said I was anything but absolutely nuts. So again, the same process though applies. Acceptance, understanding, appreciation, respect for myself, respect for oneself, and the willingness to be in that feeling of disconnect and still live on until spirit shows the next step on the path. But the essential thing is to get your feet on the ground, accept what is, appreciate it for what it is, appreciate that these are the light. You know, when I first got into religious science, actually, I felt like, oh well, there's, you know, this is the perfect body. This is the teaching is that I'm perfect, whole, and complete, just exactly as I am. And I had already transitioned by the time I got to religious science, but I got to thinking about, well, was I perfect and whole just as I was before I transitioned? Or am I perfect, whole, and complete now? And I had to come to a decision with a lot of prayer that this was my perfect body, and the transition and all that came came with it was part of my journey. This is what was perfect, whole, and complete. This is still perfect, whole, and complete. And my journey included that transition that other people don't have to experience. Other people have other challenges. That was mine. So I got to, it brought me to peace. So again, any challenge in life, the first step is to be where you are and allow the healing and the forgiveness and the acceptance to get to what's true in the moment. And then, and only then, can you make forward progress in pursuit of your ultimate goals. The one of the practitioners that I had the privilege of knowing years ago used to, when she would do the prayer and the, or a treatment, and the step 2, which is the recognition. Yeah. She would say, you know, we're perfect, whole, and complete, because God don't make no junk. God only creates perfect. And so whatever challenge is related to the body experience, it's part of your journey, one's journey through life and through your growth and unfoldment. So Holmes said, since the only life you can have is the life of spirit within you, you need but permit its radiance to flow through you, flow through your thought into self-expression. You are surrounded by a dynamic force, a great surge of living power. You are immersed in and saturated with the vital essence of life. Its presence permeates everything, binding all together in one complete whole. And the truth is, there is only one, and each of us has that one within us, having been created by and out of the essence of that one. And so it is. So, open to questions, comments, talk amongst yourselves.
Thank you, Dylan. First of all, thank yous are in order. Thank you so much for sharing with us, loving the body. So for those, yeah, see, everybody's applauding up there. So if we want to go into, it's time for us to do a little sharing and questioning or commenting. If you want to go into gallery view, this would be the time to do it. And you can turn on your camera and your microphone. Peter's going to be our moderator tonight, recognizing people for you, Dylan. So all you need to do is focus on the incoming and not worry about the global activities. The way we do that is we raise our hands like this and Peter will recognize us, or you can use the reaction button down below and raise your hand as Constance has done. And Peter will recognize you. Peter, I turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Constance, go ahead. You're up.
Okay. All right. One of the things that I realized when I was in my 20s and 30s was that the vision that I had of me in my head wasn't the vision that was in the mirror, and it was my challenge was that I was told I was fat all the time, even though now when I go back and look at those photographs, I was maybe 10 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
But I thought I was 150. I didn't know the difference. So one of the things I started doing in my 30s was I took photographs of myself nude. so that I could actually see my body and start to appreciate it. And that wasn't always an easy path, but it really did help me get a better sense of what my body really was, because I didn't have a sense of what it was. And so that was, I had to get that before I could accept it.
Yeah, that's a great thing to do. That's a great thing to do. Good for you.
Sally, hi. Welcome.
Oh, Doug, I love your background.
It's in honor of the Jubilee.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. I was gonna say, there's more than one queen there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's more than one queen in that picture for sure.
Yeah. So I'll go next.
Go ahead, Doug.
No, go ahead, Sally. You were
Okay.
first.
Let me lower my hand while I'm thinking about it here. First, Dylan, thank you so much for your talk this evening. And the one word that kept coming to me through your talk is this word acceptance. And that word is so huge in everything.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. Thank you for speaking that word. Thank you for bringing that word forward, and allowing us to have this opportunity to ask the question, am I accepting of myself? And this month is all about the body, and the body is simply the outpicturing, right, of
Yep.
all of our internal beliefs and the ways we've been in the world. And as Constance said, she spoke to the idea of being a woman and you can't be over a certain weight or stature or any of that. And growing up as a gymnast, I was never as small as the other gymnasts, ever,
Uh-huh.
right? And so that gave me the opportunity to be with, how do I accept myself, my body in that form? And then you get onto this spiritual path. So I come onto this spiritual path. And of course, my spiritual path is different than my friend's spiritual path. And so it's a moment of accepting who I am in this life journey. So I just want to say thank you for bringing that word acceptance into my consciousness, into our consciousness, and giving us the opportunity to say, yes, I accept myself, unique, different, individualized, as I am, whole, perfect, and complete, an expression of God. Thank you.
Thank you for elaborating. That was really great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And it's lovely to see you.
It's good to be seen. It's good to see you too. We'll have to connect.
I know.
Great. Doug, go ahead.
Hey, Dylan, it's been forever since I've seen you.
I feel like I just saw you because I watched your last Wednesday talk.
Oh, thank you. So first off, thank you for your message and for your openness. It was very heartfelt. And one of the things, and I'm going to speak from the perspective of a gay man, which and I don't know how it's different in necessarily the trans community, the bi community, and or the lesbian community, but sort of within the world of gay men. So I can remember when I was in my 20s, back when there were ads in newspapers, sort of pre-internet, and very often within the ad, this was to meet people, it would say specifically no fats, no femmes, or gym body only. And so within the gay community, early on, I got the message that you have to be good looking, you have to be thin, you have to go to the gym. and you can't be femi, you have to be masculine. And if not, you're not fitting into what the mold is. And I think what was interesting as I grew older and then started really realizing the subgroups, if you will, within the community. So early on, I wasn't really necessarily aware of like the bear community, right? Which are big, husky, hairy gay guys. And I remember, so I was going to UC Berkeley, and I saw a bear with the rainbow flag. And so I put it on my car. And so if I drove through the Castro or whatever, and I said to a friend of mine, it's like, I don't understand why these older gay fat guys keep staring at me, because I was like totally oblivious at the time. And what I think is still happening is I'm not on Grindr, which is a relationship app for gay guys, but I think they're still using like the no fat, no femme, you have to look like the Statue of David, or or swipe right or left, whichever it is. But I think the one thing too that's interesting, for at least for young gay boys and bi boys, is normally what you'll hear often is with young women where they have eating disorders. And within the young gay community for boys, that's very common. Either do bulimia or anorexia, diet pills, fasting, excessive fasting. So that part still hurts my heart, that we haven't been able to get past that, even with this new crop of young people coming forward. So that's the vision that I'm going to hold, that we do appreciate that we are whole, we are perfect exactly as we are. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't speak as much as I could have to the specific subgroups within the queer, with the rainbow community, about how body image is affected, but it's certainly I think probably specifically, primarily among gay men, it's the most severe.
Jerry, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dylan. It's so good to hear you and see you in action. Missed you. And Doug had a wonderful opening to Pride Month for us last Wednesday. And so it's great to have you here. The word that came up for me during your talk was, well, it wasn't the word, it was the song, I Love Myself the Way I Am. I'm perfect in every way. So that just kept moving through my my thought process. And I love that song because it's so true, and it's so wonderful to affirm that and appreciate ourselves for who we are. I know we all have had some sort of for me, growing up as a tall young person was really harsh sometimes, And then as I got older, I appreciated my height. And of course, I still appreciate my height. And we grow and we become more, we step into our teachings and become wise and, really learn to embrace ourselves in a different way. But, it's a process from a young age on up. And so, yes, I love that song. I love myself the way I am. And so I'm going to think of you when I think of that song. So thank you. Thanks for being with us tonight too.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing your vulnerability too. I really appreciate your process and your experience. Yeah. And I think the body change, I think if we are really content with ourselves, then we can do whatever we feel we need to do that supports us feeling better about ourselves, not necessarily for the outside world, but just for ourselves. And so
exactly. And that's part of my experience anyway. It was only when it became my journey and didn't have anything to do with anybody else that I was able to move forward. And I think that that's true for almost anybody. You have to come to that place of inner acceptance, inner joy. And
Yeah,
then,
appreciation, and yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, well, thank you so much, hon. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jerry.
Well, Dylan and Doug, since we're in the same tribe, so to speak, there are definitely different. I remember growing up that I was very aware of my skinniness, and I wanted to do the opposite. I wanted to build it up, and I wanted to be attractive in that way. And it just was not in my DNA to be that way, period. So I had to kind of accept that, but I didn't accept that quite the way it was supposed to be accepted. So I was jealous of my cousin who had these big biceps. He had the weights. I had the weights. It just didn't do anything. It just wasn't gonna happen. And interestingly, in my 20s, I also looked at those same ads pre-internet where they had no this, no that, and it was predominantly they wanted buff boys, and we already knew buff boys wasn't coming out of this body, but there were other seekers with other desires.
Mhm.
I want a slim one, and I do want one that's femme. So there is someone out there other than yourself that's going to accept you completely as who you are. So do you remember the magazines in the back? It was the Atlas, Mr. Atlas, and all of that. And the big guy kicks the sand in the skinny guy's face, and then he gets mad and he gets his weights, and then he comes even bigger and kicks the sand. And, that was the kind of model I was chasing until one day I went to a place that was doing transformation. And I had an interest in doing drag work. And I sat down with the head. I became friends with the lead dancer at Finocchio's. His name was Estuardo.
Oh, wow.
Sat me down in his chair and he says, "Okay, Miss Timmy," that's where the name came from, because my family name is Timmy. "Let's see what we're going to do with this face." And then as Estuardo worked on my face, and I couldn't see myself in the mirror because it was a big reveal to turn around, he went, "Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. You got a great nose. You got great cheeks. Let me show you how to enhance them. This is how we do this. This is stage makeup. This is under rouging. This is translucent powder. They all have a purpose. They all have an order, but you have some good bones." Little did I know. Well, ultimately, Estuardo turned me around and he said, "I have created a monster. That slim body with no hair, with the right wig and the right dress, became Empress of Alameda County, the 11th Empress of Alameda County."
Wow.
And I spent 25 years doing drag work for charity through the Imperial Court System of San Francisco, and I had my own empire in Alameda County. So my DNA won.
Mm.
My transformation was for character. It gave me the torch to do great charity work for all those 25 years, raise hundreds of $1,000s for AIDS causes, because in 1989, I was Empress, and that was just coming into its worst element. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying, I accepted the skinny, and in Spanish they call it flaquito body. My Spanish friend says, "Oh, you're so flaquito. I really like that." But it allowed for that transition to take place in its best and highest form. So what I thought was a detraction was really, excuse the word loosely, an asset. And I used it to my best abilities. The spouse that I have been with for 35 years preferred this body type, the one that I was trying to reject. So yes, acceptance is a big part, but the acceptance only came after the reward. It didn't come before the reward. So, but I did use it to my advantage.
Yeah.
And to the advantage of many others.
Right. And with a hell of a lot of max factor help. But yes, it worked for me. It's the structure that you choose to express. That's where the core essence of the truth is. And I think that's what you were speaking to, is recognizing that nothing matters but that. And so I was able to find it. Didn't mean to rag on about it that long, but I wanted to support that. Even though I didn't love my body until now, I didn't realize how much value it had to send me on this path to where I am today. And I'm grateful for it.
That's right.
Anybody else have a mysterious secret they want to reveal during Pride Month?
Oh, Constance.
Well,
You're up.
I'll talk again. I'm leaving my video off because my place stays very cool, which I absolutely love, but I'm blanketed all the way to my neck moment. So, but something you said, Paul, about that there are some people who like particular kinds of bodies. That's always and that is true. It's absolutely true. I lived for 35 years as a lesbian, and then discovered that that wasn't the whole truth of me. And making that transition was quite something, because I can't tell you the number of men I chased away because I treated them like they were a woman. And lesbians tend to get together very quickly, and that's not true for men. You know, there used to be a joke in the 70s and 80s uh, that that what do two lesbians bring on their second date, and it's a U-Haul. And what do two men do on their second date? They exchange first names. And I think, so, but, and so for me, it's really been, really, I don't have a body that attracts men. I'm not that typical woman who most men would look at, because and so that's another journey I've had to really accept, is just like, well, if they can't see who I really am, then it's their loss, really. So, but that's something that's so ingrained in our culture, that we go by visual instead of by what's inside a person. And that it takes a long time before we really accept. And then the other thing is that sometimes we get together with people based on their looks or on something else, and then can be with them for a long time, find out we don't really like them very much. They have the right body. So it's an incredible journey, not just on an individual level, but on a cultural level.
Yeah. That's good.
Anybody else have something to share? Thank you for letting us explore this with you, Dylan.
Sure.
Really. Thank you. It's given me a lot to think about tonight. So it's about that time. If there's no one, any with the burning share, let's thank Dylan, shall we? However you want to show it, with which way you want to do that. Dylan, we're really grateful that you're here. I hope you know that. And I hope that showed tonight. We have some announcements that we'd like to share with everybody. We got some great things coming up, and activities, speakers, and and Sundays and Wednesdays. So when you're ready, Mr. Peter, we could do some quick announcements.
Who's taking out the trash?
Yes, exactly, Karen. That's so true. And there's a story about that. If I get time at the end, I will tell you who's taking out the trash. That's what Reverend Savannah Noel is going to speak about this Sunday, June 12th. Who's taking out the trash? So join us in person with meditation at 10 a.m. and the service at 10:30. We are now streaming directly to YouTube, and the link is on the homepage if you choose to watch the service from home. Reverend Savannah will be also facilitating a workshop right after the service this Sunday at 1 o'clock. Her workshop is called Boundary Breakthrough Workshop, a guide to self-love, truth-telling, and healthier relationships. Boundaries are the expectations and agreements we have with others that help us feel safe and provide clarity in our relationships. Without them, we find ourselves depleted, exhausted, and our needs go unmet. This workshop is in person with a Zoom option, and the cost is $35. Zoom participants must register by this Friday, June 10th. So if you've been talking amongst your friends and said, oh, let's go to the workshop, and you want to attend by Zoom, you must register by this Friday. It's also in person, and you can come in person at the door. You can register on the events page of our website. Next Wednesday, June 15th, practitioner K. Suzanne Massey from the East Bay Church of Religious Science will continue to illuminate Pride Month and the monthly theme of body. K. Suzanne will be speaking on The Body Remembers. So first you got to love it, then you got to deal with what it remembers. She's going to help us work through that. Meditation at 6:30, service at 7. Our Wednesday night services will remain in Zoom. It's open forum time. Your Board of Trustees will be hosting the open forum this Friday, June 10th at 6:30 by Zoom. Come with your curiosity about what is going on and your questions for the board. I believe we have a hot link right on the homepage to the open forum. So you can get there real easily. So check that out on the homepage on Friday night, and it is at 6:30. The Loving Stewards of Motherly Earth Ministry are bringing a very special workshop, and I emphasize that. It's called Earth Prayers, and it's coming to Oakland Center. The class is Saturday, July 16th from 1 to 5. You'll learn to capture the essence of what you see with a few strokes of ink, to be in conversation with the earth through asking and listening, and to take this practice with you wherever you go. You will be learning a new practice. Earth Prayers is a blend of Japanese sumi, Constance, it's sumi, right? Painting with intentional creativity.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sumi is about connecting the chi or life essence of what you are painting. The two approaches combine into a deeply satisfying practice that deepens your connection to nature. The class cost is $90, but this is a practice. This is something you will be able to take home with you, and all of the materials are included in the price. Now, this registration is very special. It needs to be done in advance, and it will close on Saturday, July 2nd. And that will allow for materials to be ordered, which you can do on the events page. So visit the events page if you really want to come to this. Sign up early and make sure you'll be able to attend. It is an in-person event, but you must be pre-registered by July 2nd. You can't just show up. Okay, we are back in business, my friends, with more people showing up in person, and we need more help. Sacred service is a blessing, a gift, and a spiritual practice. Please step up and offer your heart, body, and time to keep this place humming. Contact Zoe DeMuro about our open volunteer opportunities. Bookstore, welcome and information table, greeters, newcomer angels, Sunday service check-in, social hall refreshments, media team, and gardening. And our gardening team really needs weeders. So I'm pushing an extra plug for people that like to dig in the dirt and weed. We really need your help. These are all opening, all of these services are opening and welcoming you to their teams. And as always, for information on all that's going on at the Oakland Center, visit our website. That's how you got in tonight. Be sure to check out our events page. And don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So please follow along as I read the Minister's Covenant, the Minister's Sacred Covenant. I call it a letter because it's kind of like that. We're sending the message out. So I've been calling it the New Minister's Covenant letter in my head. So go with me on this for a minute, if you will. I breathe in deep and breathe in that sacred essence of life, knowing that there is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life, that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know the highest purpose of my new minister is to reveal spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God's wisdom. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by Spirit. For it is written, I am filled with divine wisdom. I allow divine mind to fill my mind now. Ayana Van Zandt has written that. As I stated in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unity in the community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself. For I am inspiring unity and diversity, embracing and nourishing our community. I am awakening the wisdom within. I am healing and expanding our community with the power of love. I am engaging the community and building a world that works for everyone. I am deepening my family consciousness. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they are revealed in a way that illumines spirit and serves the highest and greatest good for all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious, and so it is. Ashe. So in this moment of gratitude, we move into our offering part of our service tonight. We all have talents and time and treasure to share. We do it in many capacities, and we do a lot of it here at the Oakland Center. And I'm grateful, so very grateful for all of that which you contribute. So as I pass my collection, digital collection bowl from square to square, receiving your offering, I say, and read with me, joyously I give with an attitude of abundance, knowing that as I give, I do receive.
And so it is.
And so it is. And I receive it, and I'm grateful. For those that want to do it in the physical, we have several ways that you can financially donate to the center. You can use our webpage to donate through credit card at that donate button. You can mail it the old-fashioned way to the address listed there. If you're young like Lucian Baker, you can text it because he's such a hipster, 510-327-3431. Or you can use Zelle, giving at oaklandcsl.org. And finally, if you come to service, we'll be glad to receive it in the physical basket at Sunday service. So 5 ways to give at the Oakland Center. So thank you everyone that's made this service so very, very special. Thank you, Dylan, for being here with us tonight. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank our behind the scenes, or my up front team that keeps me up and front. And it's not easy to keep me up and in front of you. And they do a great job. For Peter in Portland, Helene, Sabrina, Alice, you guys are just the best. And you know, you are the best. It's so wonderful that you're here giving your service to all of us. So with that in mind, I think I've covered everything. Thank you, Reverend Jerry, for being here. It's always lovely having you and everyone that's been on the call to stay. So at this time, I'm going to ask Dylan to come forward, and if you will, close us out in prayer, because we don't start or end this service without prayer. Thank you, Dylan, again.
That's right. Absolutely. So if you'll just join me in closing your eyes and taking a breath, center again in the presence of spirit that is the one, that is the all, that is the only, that is words fail me sometimes with the immensity of what spirit is and represents. It's all that is, all that is.
Yes.
And I know that we have been blessed this night to share this time together in the presence of spirit. I know that we have, that we are guided, guarded, and protected as we make our way out of our chairs and into the kitchen or wherever we're going next. It's not like, oh, as we drive home from the center, but we are guided, guarded, and protected as we move through our evening and our days to come until we see each other again. I'm so grateful to know this. Please join me in saying, and so it is.
So it is.
And so it is.